Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. Take a look at that Bitcoin price. Right now trading at about $32,800 per BTC. Not what we expected. Can we get out of this? What does this mean for the rest of the market, and why is Bitcoin plummeting? I mean, we already saw that major Bitcoin correction of over 50% to just about $30,000, and now we're hovering dangerously low again to that price. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin price, guys, and what that means for the rest of the market, what that means for your XRP. So I got to start it off here. This is from Michael at Val5 Links. Deutsche Bank says the U.S. might be headed for one of the most inflationary periods in history, arguing that elevated government spending and loose monetary policy could combine to create conditions similar to prior episodes in the 1940s and 1970s. So adding to the pressures are the some $2 trillion in excess savings that consumers have amassed over the past year, when many businesses were closed and travel mostly shut down. According to the report published on Monday, consumers will surely spend at least some of their savings as economies reopen, wrote Deutsche Bank Chief Economist David Folkerts-Landau alongside Peter Hooper, Global Head of Economic Research, and Jim Reed, Head of Thematic Research. This raises the very real specter of consumer-driven inflation. So it is projected that this is going to be quite a significant inflationary period in history because of the loose monetary policy that we've witnessed not only in the United States but all around the world. Of course, the beer flu pandemic shut down economies, and governments kind of had to jump into action, make some changes, shift gears, and allow their citizens to be able to afford things. So what did they do? Print money. Inflation is closely watched by cryptocurrency investors who view Bitcoin as a hedge against the dollar debasement. And so we're thinking to ourselves, Bitcoin price is going down. Wouldn't Bitcoin price be going up? If this is the case, wouldn't people be wanting to purchase more Bitcoin? So what's the deal here? Bitcoin is also traded at times in sync with risky traditional assets like stocks, and the Deutsche Bank authors warn that when inflation does eventually appear, the Fed might have to react forcefully, which could create a significant recession and set off a chain of financial distress around the world. The warnings come in marked contrast to Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's repeated assurances that elevated inflation readings are probably transitory and will settle back over time as the economy recovers from last year's pandemic-induced recession. I'll tell you one thing. Over the history of time when we've seen inflation, we have never really seen it revert back. So higher prices is something that we tend to get used to and that we tend to accept over time. I know you guys have seen this chart here, inflation silently robbing you of purchasing power since 1913. Now, I'm no Bitcoin maximalist, but I do think that this really does paint a very telling picture. $20 in 1929 would have gotten you this many groceries. In 1960, a little less, and in 2014, even less. And so this caps out at 2014. Of course, this is an older graphic here. But Bitcoin in 2012 would have just gotten you a little bit of groceries. By 2013, even more groceries. And by 2014, even more groceries. I think we see where this is going here with cryptocurrencies gaining value over time versus the US dollar losing buying power over time. And so a transitory period and that we will recover, I am highly skeptical of that. So this goes on to say a lack of preparation for the return of inflation is concerning. Even if some inflation today is transitory, it may feed into expectations as in the 1970s. Even if only embedded for a few months, these expectations may be difficult to contain with stimulus so great. So we've got these statements about the inflation that is occurring. I'm going to continue on here because I know you guys likely at least heard about this or maybe even saw this clip. Yellen says inflation could reach 3% this year as the recovery continues. So I'm going to play you guys this clip real quick. This is what Janet Yellen said on June 5th, or rather a summary. This clip is chopped up to kind of better emphasize the highlighted points. Listen to this.
We have in recent months seen some inflation. And we, at least on a year-over-year basis, will continue, I believe, through the rest of the year to see higher inflation rates, maybe around 3%. But I personally believe that this represents transitory factors. When the pandemic struck, the prices in the most affected service sectors utterly plunged. And we're moving into a phase where our economy is recovering and some of those prices are moving back up to normal. We also have some supply bottlenecks that are affecting sectors of the economy. The semiconductor shortage is obviously affecting vehicle prices, used vehicle prices. Look, we still have over 7 million fewer jobs right now than we had pre-pandemic. So we shouldn't expect this process to be complete in a month or two. But I strongly believe we're on a recovery path. We're making progress. If we continue at this pace, I believe sometime next year we'll be back to something we could call around full employment. And while we're seeing some inflation, I don't believe it's permanent.
So Janet Yellen here also saying that, although we are seeing the inflation right now, she does not believe it is permanent and giving reasons to that effect. So why is Bitcoin plummeting? Well, Bitcoin is plunging after it was revealed that the FBI retrieved millions worth of Bitcoin from the Colonial Pipeline ransom attack. This coming from Mr. Whale at Crypto Whale here on Twitter. This has raised many concerns over the security of the BTC network and how exactly they cracked the private keys. So this, an event that we're seeing take place purportedly because we are seeing Bitcoin being recovered and concerns over the security of the BTC network. Mr. Whale continues on by saying, and before the sheep scream FUD, because it goes against some fake narratives they've been told, let's not forget that the Bitcoin network is literally built with double SHA-2 security hash algorithm 2, which was designed by none other than the NSA. So despite the fact that, we are living now in a world where inflation is not only inevitable, but expected and at a higher rate, our governments are saying, you don't have to worry right now. It's not going to be great, but down the road, it'll get better. Just trust us. We are also seeing news articles here that have been bringing the Bitcoin price down. Now, I'm zoomed in here on the 1 hour. If I bring Bitcoin out to the daily and zoom out a little, you can see we actually haven't really seen much in the way of Bitcoin price going much lower than it already has gone. I mean, we did see this initial pullback down here where this bottom line is at about 29,800, 29,900, give or take 30,000, depending on what exchange we're looking at here. We were finding some resistance up here in the 0.236, and now Bitcoin has come right back down again. And I know some of you guys are really kind of scared, that this bull run is over and that, you're holding your coins and you're thinking to yourself, should I be selling my coins? Well, I mean, everybody's got their own plan. Everybody's got their own vision. Of course, you want to sell at the top, but you're thinking to yourself, $65,000, was that the top or is it going to go higher? Again, I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor. These are your dollars. This is your hard-earned money, so you should be doing what's best for you, and everybody is going to be different. I personally don't think this bull run is over yet. I think that this is ultimately just a bad news day for the cryptocurrency market, and we can see, right, a few days ago it was positive. Now we're seeing a bit of red, so we're just kind of trading sideways right now with regards to the entire market. If we look at a snapshot at the entire market, this from Michael at Val5Links. So here's some positive news. I wonder just how much he knows. This with regards to Joe Biden going to be discussing cryptocurrencies at the next G7 meeting. The current president of the United States, Joe Biden, has remained quiet about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency assets for the last few months, but the latest statement from Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, indicates that the U.S. president is planning to raise the issue related to the role of cryptocurrencies in ransomware, specifically at the G7. So this ties directly into that latest Bitcoin story and the Colonial Pipeline hack. U.S. officials are planning to discuss cryptocurrencies during Biden's G7 visit. During the recent press briefing at the White House, Sullivan said that it is important to deal with the cryptocurrency challenge, which lies at the core of how these ransomware attacks are carried out. Ransomware is a national security priority, he noted. Sullivan added that the U.S. officials are planning to discuss problems related to cryptocurrencies during Biden's G7 visit. The national security advisor mentioned that a plan is required to share information with other democracies in order to overcome the cryptocurrency challenges. Earlier, Biden halted all federal regulatory processes, including the controversial cryptocurrency KYC regulations proposed by former Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. So when you listen to how the story is framed, Joe Biden going to talk about cryptocurrencies at G7, that sounds positive from the outset. However, when you're reading in here and we're kind of digging into this, we're realizing, okay, they're relating this to the ransomware attacks and they're looking to find solutions to prevent this. So, the narrative does kind of turn a bit. It does get a bit negative and, Bitcoin price is reflecting those sentiments. Again, guys, this is just sentiment in the market. I mean, fundamentally, I guess I should tell you, fundamentally, I do still think we are going to see new highs. I don't think we are off track for cryptocurrencies. Let me just bring up XRP here real quick, just to give you guys a sense of where I think we're at with regards to XRP specifically. So just take a look at XRP, right? Even though it did dip down significantly along with Bitcoin, we are still holding that 80-cent level, okay? Last night, XRP did hit 8.828 cents. But it did close above 80 cents. So that's really important to note here. If I zoom out the XRP chart here on the daily, you can see this level here, 80-cent level, staying above that. So zooming right back in here, getting to really see, understanding that, this is going to be significant. We haven't broken below and closed below 80 cents. Bitcoin's still hovering above $29,000, $30,000 too. So, despite the immediate crash, despite that 1 hour time chart, there's still a positive outlook for XRP, of course, and Bitcoin. And we know Bitcoin, of course, the pulse of the market. So for the entirety of the crypto market, it is still looking positive. At least that's just my opinion. We've also got this, guys. Crypto markets tumble after miners unload 5,000 BTC in 1 week. So Bitcoin price is also up against this. The crypto markets are against dropping, with Bitcoin crashing below 33,000 for the first time since May 23rd, and Ether similarly broke 2,500. The downward momentum comes as bearish indicators continue to stack up for Bitcoin, sure. William Clement III here is saying miners have sold over 5,000 BTC in the last week. So this is definitely going to cause some bearish momentum. These analysts here are looking at some different metrics. Selling 5,000 Bitcoin in 1 week, that is definitely not a good thing. This is creating some different indicators to set off some alarms for certain analysts like Timothy Pearson. Bitcoin prices dropped below the 200 SMA for 17 consecutive days and counting. This metric has always marked the end of the bull run and the start of a bear market. So he is looking at this from a bearish perspective now, saying the end is near. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, Bitcoin here on the daily, it does look fairly scary. The other thing we have to mention, though, is that we haven't seen that final altcoin rally for certain coins. Usually what happens, and if this is indeed the end of the bull run and the beginning of the bear market, what we will tend to see is Bitcoin make one final recovery rally. Okay, it won't actually come up to its all-time high. It'll kind of tap out right before there, and then that will be the beginning of the bear market. But it'll be during this period here, guys, that we will see the altcoins rally higher. We will see cryptocurrencies like XRP make new all-time highs in and around this point here. At least this is what we have historically seen. Before the market really does take a turn on itself, I think sometimes we get into this nitty-gritty and we kind of analyze it on such a small time frame and worry a lot of the times unnecessarily about these small movements to the downside. But when you do zoom out, when you do look at the broader picture, we are seeing world economies still kind of getting on their feet. Inflation is definitely going to be an issue. Cryptocurrency has never been as mainstream as it is right now in the year 2021. We're seeing governments talking about cryptocurrency and, in this case, Joe Biden going to be talking about it at this G7 meeting, and it is going to be with relation to security matters, but we're also seeing governments do something else. A few days ago, the president of El Salvador was saying that they are going to be utilizing Bitcoin for legal tender in that country. Well, he also posted this, guys. Bitcoin has a market cap of $680 billion. If 1% of it is invested in El Salvador, then that would increase our GDP by 25%. On the other hand, Bitcoin will have 10 million potential new users and the fastest growing way to transfer $6 billion a year in remittances. So Nayib Bukele is saying that Bitcoin is going to be used for remittances. That is interesting, considering we know the Bitcoin blockchain is slow, clunky, and can't really be utilized in a real-world setting in its current form. He goes on to say, besides a big chunk of those $6 billion is lost in intermediaries. By using Bitcoin, the amount received by more than 1 million low-income families will increase in the equivalent of billions of dollars every year. This will improve lives in the future of millions. Furthermore, 70% of El Salvador's population doesn't have a bank account and work in the informal economy. Financial inclusion is not only a moral imperative, but also a way to grow the country's economy, providing access to credit, savings, investment, and secure transactions. We hope that this decision will be just the beginning in providing a space where some of the leading innovators can reimagine a future of finance, potentially helping billions around the world. Well, what he is describing here, what he is saying here, is that Bitcoin is essentially going to come to the rescue and save the people from economic despair. Bitcoin's gonna do that, all right? The irony is, though, and so many Bitcoin maximalists kind of get a bit thrown off, I think, by this, is that everything that he is describing here, Ripple and XRP can do right away. And not only that, it was designed to be a better Bitcoin. It was designed to help bank the unbanked, facilitate low-cost remittances, so on and so forth. And so Mr. Whale here bringing up this point, in April 2021, the average Bitcoin transaction fee was over $64, and over 84% of people living in El Salvador make around $6.46 a day. This means even one Bitcoin transaction would cost nearly 10 days worth of wages in El Salvador, and that's just very unrealistic. Match this with the fact that 66% of their population doesn't even have internet access. This is just another technique by their dictator to retain more power over his citizens. Notice how he chose Strike, which isn't even a self-custody wallet. The government will force people to use Bitcoin through a centralized custodian and have access to everyone's private keys. This is a dramatic shift to full-on authoritarianism, yet many maxis support it and won't speak out since they want numbers to go up. Things that make you wonder. We've also got this guy's from Tree here on Twitter. He tagged me in this. So let's get this straight. BTC maxis, you hate and talk SHIT for years on XRP because it's a banker's coin, while touting BTC as for the people, F the banks, etc., etc. Then you guys go on an absolutely embarrassing BTC Miami 2021 convention with F the banks. Signage and bloody pictures of world leaders. Well, there you realize what Ripple saw a decade ago and started working on a decade ago, and all of a sudden, one country says it's going to accept BTC as currency, and y'all throw the whole narrative into reverse. Somehow you think this means BTC will be used for cross-border remittances. That's a big old nope, partner. There are too many reasons this is not going to work, including BTC is centralized in China, XRP is not. BTC has nobody at the helm, no groundwork has been done, XRP is used for ODL by Ripple, who has been laying the groundwork and working with banks all around the world for a decade. Also, an incredibly transparent company. What this will be is the catalyst for XRP and Ripple to continue pushing forward with the work they've been doing to help inclusivity, settlement times, and cross-border remittances. I don't know how folks are genuinely under the impression that BTC can solve any of these problems if they have done any research below the surface. If you are reading this and you're mad, I'm talking to you. Take a full day to do some real research. Y'all trying to be the banker's coin you always hated. 2 days ago, you were the F the bank coin. Acceptance as a currency and being used for cross-border remittances are two very different things. There's a lot of confusion out there. And so I gotta thank Bessatree here for posting this little rant thread. I'm happy that people are realizing this. I'm really happy people are seeing that there's a shift here and maybe there's more that's playing out than just what's on the surface. We are facing inflation and the perception is things are getting more expensive, but in reality, what's really happening is that your dollar is worth less and less and less. And whether you're invested in Bitcoin or not, that's besides the point. I mean, I do have some Bitcoin, full disclosure, I do have some Bitcoin. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm using it as a hedge. I'm also heavily invested in XRP for all the reasons that I outline in my videos. So is this the beginning of a bearish trend, guys? In short, I don't see it happening yet. I mean, we are getting very close, dangerously close here. We haven't really seen an altcoin rally yet. The narrative has been very negative as of late, and that's why we're kind of just seeing Bitcoin trade in this sideways channel. That's my opinion on things at the moment. We haven't really seen anything to suggest lower lows are going to come in. Let's also not forget what we saw back in 2017, right before that last uptick for XRP. For example, we did see this after a huge bullish rise up. We did see XRP trade sideways for an extended period of time, and those levels are matching what we're seeing today in the charts, right? Bottoming out here, coincidentally, or not so coincidentally enough, backtesting that 80-cent level, forming what is the beginning of what I'm hoping is a Nike swoosh pattern. And we could see this occur, guys. We could see this go into Q3 or Q4 of 2021. I mean, putting a timeline on it is fairly difficult to predict. And since Bitcoin is the heart of the market, we really do have to pay attention. We haven't seen any lower lows yet, and the narrative is especially negative right now. But fundamentally, the charts are saying we still gotta wait and see. That's just my opinion, but I wanna hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.